and the trigeminal nerve was right there. It got ripped off. Okay, right, you can see how it's right in the middle of the pons, right in the midline, or the actually the side. But see what else we have. Okay, here's a perfect one. You see this thing here? It's been ripped off. That is the trigeminal right there. See if it's on the other side.
That's
Yeah.
the trigeminal.
See that thing? It's just enormous.
Yeah. That's the trigeminal.
That's the trigeminal.
This one. Here's my back.
Okay, that should make it really easy to see that. So, if it's a nerve that's coming out in the middle of the pons, it's a trigeminal. And then, so that's 5. You remember that there's 6, 7, and 8 that then come out in this pontomedullary junction, which is right here, which is right here. That's the pontomedullary junction, and that's where 6, 7, and 8 come out. So that's the way I do it is 1, 2, and 3 are up here in the front. Actually 4 too, but 4 is on the back side. And then 5 is in the middle of the pons. And then 6, 7, and 8 are in that junction. Okay. 6 is abducens. 7 is what?
Facial.
Facial. Real important one for dentists. And 8 is the vestibulocochlear. And
Can
that's,
you see them, or are they ripped off?
let me see if we can see them. Okay, there's the abducens right there.
Oh, okay. So that's the most medial, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then this right here there's a bunch of nerves coming out right there, and that's 7, 7 and 8 right there. So it's let's see what's on the other side. Yeah, here's better. So what we do on this exam is get the best example that we have, more or less, to do this with. We don't just pick up brain and say, well, let's see if we can find it. Mm-hmm. So what we all go down there on a Friday morning, we get all the specimens out, and then we look to see good examples, and we have a list of what we want to mark, and I'll give you that list later. I'll take it. And the TAs and I and Dr. Warner and Dr. Mon go out and mark those. And so this would not be of choice here, but right down in here is where this part of this right here it's either the facial or the vestibulocochlear.
So it would be obvious on the test.
Yeah. So again, you're right in thinking, boy, we need to know landmarks. We need to know where these things are, because you got a minute to do it, and if you know the landmark of what would be in that particular region, you can write it down almost immediately.
Will we need to know the nerves from any other cross sections? Will we need to know the nerves from any cross section in the brain?
No. So that is 6, 7, and 8, and then 9, 10, and 11 all come out in a series of nerves that are on the posterior side of the olive. Only one nerve comes out on the anterior side of the olive, and that is hypoglossal, number 12. So it's real easy, 9, 10, and 11 just come out along a string of nerves that come out along here from the pontomedullary junction on down in this groove that's formed by the olive.
Where's the olive?
The olive is this big old thing right here.
Gotcha.
And then on this side, and there may actually even be one there, there's the hypoglossal nerve. I can remember that because it's hypo. It's the only one that kind of describes where it is, hypoglossal. So it's the only one that's on the anterior side of the olive. Okay? It would be right, let's see, it would be right here. This is the posterior side of the olive. This is the anterior side of the olive. So it would be, if it were there, and I don't think it's actually there.
So
Right-
it just
right
lays there.
It comes, they all come out in little shoots like this. So this is the brainstem, and they all have little shoots that come out. They're not one nerve coming out. It's a bunch of little nerves that make the nerve, that form the nerve. So let's see if there's another example of the olive here. Yeah, this is a really good example. See this thing here?
That's the olive.
That's the olive.
And then that's the pyramid.
The pyramid is right here. Yeah, the pyramid is then anterior to the olive. And between the pyramid and the olive is where the hypoglossal nerve comes in. And so that's the olive. This is where the hypoglossal would come out. And this down through here is where the 9, 10, and 11 come out. Okay? So that should make the cranial nerve pretty easy to deal with, because you've got this little section down here that you can remember the associations there. 6, 7, and 8, that's easy in that groove. And then 5 is that's so big you can't miss that one. And then 1, 2, 3, and 4 are up front. So you just
Is the Vegas pretty big when it comes out of the?
it's big, but it's hard to see because it usually gets ripped off. It's again, it's a number of rootlets that come out of the groove below the olive, and then forms a very big nerve. Obviously, heart, all kinds of parasympathetic function. So, so anything more about the cranial nerves? What you might want to do when I'm done here is to pick around these specimens to see if you can find, and I'll be here and you can ask me stuff about that. So